US-owned cargo vessel was struck by Iranian-backed Houthi missiles after a weekend of retaliatory strikes in Yemen. Rishi Sunak has been very clear that Britain will not hesitate to defend herself again, but global uncertainty abounds and begs the question, is there an all-out war looming on the horizon? I'm now joined by TalkTV war correspondent Tom Mutch. Good evening, Tom.
Good evening, Mike. How are you doing?
Yeah, very well indeed. Thanks very much indeed for joining us. I mean, there's a few things to get through today. There's a Houthi missile supposedly been fired at a US-owned cargo ship off Yemen. We've got, of course, Rishi Sunak's statement in the House talking about how they very, very much wanted to avoid any civilian casualties. They believe they've avoided that. But equally, there's still a lot of tension in that part of the world, in the Red Sea. There's no suggestion really from the Houthis that they're going to stop, is there?
Well, here's the thing about the Houthis. The Houthis have effectively been at war with the West for 8 years. There was an international coalition. When they took over large parts of Yemen in 2015, there was an international coalition led by Saudi Arabia and largely funded with US and UK weapons and money that was attempting to kick the Houthis out of that large part of Yemen that they occupied. Now, that effort, which was expected to take a month or so, ended up lasting 8 years and failing almost completely. So the way the Houthis see it is, well, they've already been fighting this war for 8 years. What's a few more missile strikes or air strikes when they've already gotten through 8 years? So they have no reason to stop. Now, if you compare that to the situation in Lebanon, where Hezbollah exists, Hezbollah definitely would like to take out Israel if it can, but it is also hamstrung by the fact that many within Lebanon do not want a wider regional war, and the fact that they are right next to Israel, and Israel can retaliate overwhelmingly against Lebanon. The Houthis, being much further away, have none of those sort of issues. And so, no, they have no real reason to stop these attacks until their demands, which are a complete ceasefire in Gaza, are met.
And so as far as what Britain has said and what America has said, from what you're suggesting, it's not really going to make much difference. These attacks will continue.
Well, this is the thing. They have the US and the UK don't really have very much leverage. And because the Houthis, they don't need to do a huge amount of military damage. For instance, the ship that they hit today there were no casualties, and apparently the ship is still seaworthy. However, what that has meant is that the risk to international shipping through the Bab el-Mandeb Strait via the Suez Canal have just increased exponentially. So they don't actually need to kill a whole lot of people, take a lot of territory, or do a lot of damage. They just need to make it too risky for ships to sail through that strait. And they don't need that much firepower to do so. And they're demonstrating in quite a canny and cunning way what they can do with the resources available. Remember, they control large parts of Yemen, and so they're more like a state actor than a non-state militia such as Hamas or Hezbollah.
No, sure. And today we saw in Tel Aviv there was a terror incident where several people were injured after a car rammed into a local group of people. We've also seen a new video being released tonight by Hamas in which it would suggest that some more hostages have died, they say, at the hands of the IDF.
So it's very, very difficult to really do much with the videos released by Hamas. They're simply impossible to trust or to verify. But of course, within Israel itself, there has been more growing skepticism ever since the horrible incident a couple of weeks ago where 3 hostages were killed. That has put in the minds of a lot of Israelis that the IDF's campaign, which we all know is very, very brutal, it has put in the minds of many Israelis that they are putting the remaining hostages, it's about 136 of them, at risk. So effectively what Hamas is doing is Hamas is playing on that seed of doubt that has been planted in the Israeli public.
Yes, I think they're doing that with ever more alacrity, it would appear, as well. Tom, thanks very much indeed.